Sarah lost her job on a Tuesday. She had exactly 6 months of expenses sitting in a savings account, just like every financial expert told her to keep. 2 states away, her brother Dan lost his job that same month. He had 3 months saved. Sarah felt prepared. Dan felt behind. 11 months later, Sarah was still unemployed, burning through savings she didn't have left. Dan had a new job within 7 weeks and never touched his last dollar of emergency fund. The 6-month rule didn't fail because the math was wrong. It failed because nobody told either of them that the number itself was never really the point. Here's what almost nobody calculates honestly. The 6-month emergency fund advice was built for a specific kind of person, in a specific kind of job, in a specific kind of economy. It got repeated so often it became gospel, but the actual data behind job loss recovery tells a very different story depending on who you are. The Bureau of Labor Statistics tracks something called median duration of unemployment. For most of the last decade, that number sits between 9 and 11 weeks. Not 6 months, 11 weeks. For someone in a stable, in-demand field with transferable skills, a 6-month fund isn't protection. It's dead money. Money that could have been earning 7% in the market is instead earning less than inflation in a savings account, just in case of a scenario that historically resolves in under 3 months. But averages hide the people the average doesn't apply to. If you're in a specialized, niche, or declining industry, recovery time isn't 11 weeks. It can stretch past a year. If you're the sole income in your household, a single point of failure with no second paycheck to fall back on, the cost of running out isn't inconvenience. It's eviction, missed payments, debt at 19% interest just to survive the gap. The 6-month number was never built for these two groups separately. It was built as a blurry average that overprepares one person and underprepares another, and tells neither of them the truth. This is where the real math starts. Instead of asking how many months should I save, the better question is, what is my actual risk profile, and what does recovery realistically cost me if it happens? Start with your job stability. If you work in a field with high demand and transferable skills, 3 to 4 months of expenses covers the realistic recovery window with room to spare. If your industry is cyclical, specialized, or commission-based, 6 to 9 months is not overkill. It's appropriate for your actual risk, not a generic rule borrowed from someone in a completely different situation. Then look at your household structure. A dual-income household where both people could theoretically cover expenses alone needs less of a buffer than a single-income household supporting dependents. This sounds obvious once you say it out loud, but almost nobody adjusts their emergency fund target based on it. They just default to the number they heard on a podcast once. Now here's the part that gets skipped entirely: the opportunity cost of over-saving. Money sitting in a low-yield account isn't neutral. It's a decision, whether you realize you're making it or not. $20,000 sitting idle instead of invested over 15 years at a realistic market return is the difference of tens of thousands of dollars you never see because it never had the chance to grow. Being over-prepared for a crisis that statistically resolves in under 3 months has a price tag, too. It's just invisible because nothing bad happened to make you notice it. This is the actual skill nobody teaches. Building a fund sized to your real exposure, not a number borrowed from a stranger's situation. Sarah didn't need less savings. She needed a fund sized for her actual industry and her actual household risk, not a rule of thumb that ignored both. Dan didn't get lucky with 3 months. His skill set made 3 months statistically sufficient, and the rest of his money was working for him the entire time Sarah's was sitting still. The emergency fund isn't supposed to be a fixed number you copy from someone else's video. It's supposed to be a calculation, built from your specific risk, your specific income structure, and an honest look at what recovery actually costs people in your exact position. Most people will never run that calculation. They'll just keep whatever number sounded safe the first time they heard it, and they'll never know if they're sitting on too little protection or too much money quietly going nowhere.